Imagine this, a night thousands of years ago. The air is electric. Above you, stars pierce the darkness like shards of frozen light. But tonight, something impossible is happening. In the ancient city of Ur, wise men are running. Their sandals slap against stone steps as they climb the highest tower. Their breath comes in gasps, because for weeks they've watched the impossible unfold in the heavens. A star that shouldn't exist is burning across the sky. It's brighter than anything they've ever seen, brighter than Venus, brighter than Jupiter, and it's pulsing, almost like it's alive. The eldest stargazer's hands shake as he traces symbols on parchment. When he finally speaks, his voice cracks. The prophecies were true. A child is coming, one who will shake thrones and challenge the very gods. Miles away, in his palace, King Nimrod jolts awake. He's drenched in sweat. In his nightmare, he saw a baby with eyes like burning coals. He saw his empire crumbling, his power dissolving like salt in water. He screams into the darkness, "Bring me the stargazers, now!" But in a small house near the city walls, a woman cries out. The child is coming. She's older than most mothers, her hair streaked with silver, yet the life inside her pulses with unnatural strength. The midwives feel it too. The air itself is charged. Shadows move without light to cast them. The room grows warm despite the bitter cold outside. Then, as the mysterious star blazes at its peak, a baby's cry splits the night. The midwives freeze. When they lift the newborn, they gasp. His eyes are already open, not clouded like normal infants, but clear, aware. He stares upward, as if seeing through the ceiling to the cosmic fire above. There's something in that gaze, something ancient, something that doesn't belong in the eyes of a newborn. The father, Terah, takes his son with trembling hands. The name comes like a whisper from somewhere beyond. Abram. But in the palace, the stargazers are delivering their verdict, and it's a death sentence. This child will be great among nations, Your Majesty. Kings will fear him, though he commands no armies. His words will outlive empires, though he writes no books. Nimrod's face turns to stone. His voice drops to a whisper. Find every male child born under that star. Kill them all. By dawn, soldiers flood the streets. Mothers scream. Blood runs through gutters. The city descends into chaos. But Abram's family is already gone, guided by dreams. They've fled to caves beyond the city. The baby sleeps peacefully while death searches for him above, protected by the same force that lit the star to announce his arrival. In that cave, lit only by flickering firelight, Abram grows. And as he does, something becomes clear. This child is different. He listens to stories with impossible focus. He watches the world with eyes that seem to understand far more than they should. What no one knows yet is that this baby will grow to challenge everything. He'll question the gods they worship. He'll survive fires meant to consume him. He'll hear a voice that calls him to impossible journeys. This is Abram, later called Abraham, father of nations, friend of God. But his real story is hidden, buried in an ancient book most have never heard of, a book called Jasher. And it contains secrets that will change everything you thought you knew about the Bible. If you're hooked, hit that subscribe button, because what comes next will blow your mind. Drop a comment and tell us where you're watching from. Now let's uncover what they've been hiding. Chapter 2: Whispers of the Ancient World. There exists a book that whispers from the shadows of history. The Book of Jasher. Its very name means the upright one. It appears twice in the Bible itself. Once in the Book of Joshua, during a miracle so extraordinary that the sun stood still in the sky. Once in 2 Samuel, during David's heartbreaking song for his fallen friends. But here's what's strange. Here's what keeps scholars arguing late into the night. The Bible mentions this book as if everyone should know it. As if it sat on shelves next to the Torah. As if people could just open it and read more details about these incredible events. Yet somewhere between ancient times and now, it vanished. Libraries burned. Scrolls crumbled to dust. Wars scattered precious texts like leaves in a storm. For centuries, the Book of Jasher was simply gone. Lost. A ghost book that people knew existed only because other books mentioned it. Imagine that. A text so trusted that Bible writers assumed their readers would consult it. A book so important that they referenced it without explanation. Yet it disappeared as completely as if it had never existed. Then something impossible happened. In the 1600s, centuries after the last known copy vanished, the Book of Jasher reappeared. A scholar claimed to find it in a library in Spain. Another version surfaced in Venice. Soon, copies were appearing across Europe. But were they real? Or were they clever forgeries? That debate rages to this day. Some scholars examine the Hebrew and declare it too modern to be ancient. Others study the stories and find details that seem to preserve genuine traditions from thousands of years ago. Some religious communities embrace it as true scripture. Others warn against it as historical fiction. Most readers fall somewhere in between, fascinated by its stories while uncertain about its origins. What we know for certain is this. The Book of Jasher contains detailed accounts of biblical events that the Bible itself only mentions briefly. It tells stories about the patriarchs that you've never heard in Sunday school. It reveals conversations and details that make ancient figures feel startlingly human. It describes Noah building the ark over more than 100 years. It tells of Abraham's childhood and his dramatic confrontation with King Nimrod. It explains Joseph's time in Egypt with details that bring tears to your eyes. It shows Moses' struggles and doubts as he faces Pharaoh. Whether ancient or medieval, whether authentic or inspired fiction, the Book of Jasher does something remarkable. It takes the skeleton of biblical history and gives it flesh and blood. It makes you see familiar stories from new angles. It raises questions you've never thought to ask. Consider what we're discussing here. A lost book that the Bible itself quoted. A mysterious text that vanished for centuries, then reappeared without clear explanation. Stories that feel both familiar and strange, biblical yet different. Some readers find in Jasher the answers to questions that have troubled them for years. Why did certain events happen? What were people thinking? What did conversations sound like? The book provides details that satisfy that deep human hunger to know the whole story. Others approach it with caution, aware that not everything old is true, and not everything claiming authority deserves it. But even skeptics often find themselves drawn into Jasher's narratives. The storytelling has power. The characters come alive. The moral lessons resonate across the centuries. Tonight, as you listen to these ancient tales, you're joining a conversation that spans thousands of years. You're exploring questions about what we've lost, what we've found, and what it means to rediscover something that was never supposed to disappear. The Book of Jasher challenges us. It makes us think about how we know what we know. It raises questions about the difference between history and truth, between fact and meaning. And here's something to ponder as you drift towards sleep. What if the stories that matter most aren't always the ones that can be proven in laboratories? What if the truth that changes lives sometimes comes wrapped in narrative rather than documented in footnotes? These are the mysteries we'll explore together. These are the hidden stories that might just change everything you thought you knew. Stay with us, because the journey is just beginning. Chapter 3. The Boy Who Questioned Everything. The idol shop smells of clay and wood shavings. Young Abram, perhaps 3 years old, watches his father shape figures from mud. Terah's skilled hands mold the clay into forms that people will bow before. Gods made by human fingers to serve human desires. But something in the child's spirit rebels. He sits in the corner, his dark eyes following every movement. His small mind wrestles with questions too large for his years. The other children in play games in the streets. They laugh and chase each other without a care. Abram asks questions instead. Father, who made the gods? Terah's hands pause in their work. He looks at his son with a mixture of pride and concern. We make them, my son, with our hands and our skill. But if you made them, how can they be gods? The question hangs in the air like smoke from an altar. Terah has no good answer. He returns to his work, hoping the boy will forget his troubling questions. He doesn't. As Abram grows, his questions grow sharper. He watches people bow to statues that fall over in strong wind. He sees priests feed offerings to gods who never eat them. He observes sacred images that crack and break like common pottery. If they have power, why do they need you to make them? If they are gods, why do they break when they fall? The priests of begin to notice this strange child. His questions make people uncomfortable. His insights challenge beliefs that have stood for generations. Some parents tell their children to stay away from Terah's odd son. But Abram cannot stop seeing what he sees, cannot stop thinking what he thinks. One day, left alone in his father's shop, he takes a stick and smashes all the idols but the largest. He places the stick in the big idol's hand. When his father returns and sees the destruction, his face turns red with anger. What happened here? Abram's voice is calm, innocent. The idols had an argument about which one was greatest. The big one took that stick and smashed all the others. Don't be foolish. They're just wood and clay. They can't do anything. Abram's young face shows wisdom beyond his years. Then why do people worship them, Father? There is no answer, only silence heavy with truth that cannot be denied. As Abram reaches his 12th year, his reputation spreads beyond the city walls. People speak of the boy who sees through lies, the child who asks questions that expose the emptiness of their beliefs. King Nimrod hears these reports, the same Nimrod who ordered babies killed when Abram was born. The same ruler who claims to be divine himself. Bring the boy to me, he commands. The summons arrives on a frost-painted morning. Abram walks to the palace with his head high. His father follows, heart pounding with fear. The palace towers over them like a mountain of stone and arrogance. Guards line the corridors. Their spears cross in patterns of barely contained violence. But Abram walks through them without fear. He studies the murals that show Nimrod conquering nations and challenging heaven itself. The throne room opens before them like a cavern carved from gold and pride. King Nimrod sits on his massive throne, his eyes sharp as the weapons that made his reputation. "So," the king says, his voice rolling like thunder, "this is the child born under the star, the one my wise men say will topple kingdoms." He leans forward, studying Abram like a hunter studies prey. "You seem rather small to threaten mighty rulers." Abram steps forward without hesitation. His young voice carries clearly through the vast space. "Your Majesty speaks of size as if it matters in heaven's economy. Was not David small when he faced Goliath? The God I serve measures hearts, not height." The courtiers gasp at such boldness from a child. Nimrod's advisors shift uncomfortably, recognizing dangerous ground. "The God you serve?" Nimrod's tone sharpens. "And which God might that be? I see no altar, no image, no shrine. Where is this God who gives a boy such arrogance?" Abram's answer comes without pause. "My God needs no temple made by human hands, for the whole earth is his dwelling. He requires no image, for he made all things in his image. He is the God who spoke light into darkness, who breathed life into dust, who holds the stars in place with his word alone." The king's laughter booms through the throne room, but there is no humor in it, only the harsh sound of power being mocked. "Pretty words, boy, but let's test your faith with something real." At Nimrod's gesture, guards seize Abram. They drag him toward a furnace that has been prepared beforehand. Flames leap high, fed with oil and wood. The heat radiates outward, singing hair and clothing from several paces away. "Cast him in," Nimrod commands. "Let us see if his God can deliver him from fire hotter than the sun itself." The guards advance toward the furnace, expecting the boy to scream, to beg, to renounce his faith. He does none of these things. Instead, something impossible happens. Something that will be remembered for thousands of years. But that's a story that deserves its own telling. And you're going to want to hear what happens next. So make sure you're subscribed, because these ancient mysteries only get deeper. And here's something to think about as we continue. What would you be willing to face for what you believe? What fire would you walk through for truth? Let's find out what young Abram discovered in the flames. Chapter 4. Flames that could not consume. The furnace roars like a living thing. Guards drag Abram toward its mouth. The heat should be unbearable. It should make him scream and struggle. But the boy's face remains calm. His eyes hold something that looks almost like peace. King Nimrod watches from his throne. His priests chant over the flames, invoking their gods to make the fire burn even hotter. They call on powers of darkness to consume this child who dares challenge their authority. The flames leap higher. They twist and dance with supernatural fury. But as Abram approaches the furnace opening, something changes. The fire that had raged like a demon suddenly bends backward. It's as if invisible hands push the flames away from the entrance. The unbearable heat becomes a warm breeze. The roar of combustion softens to something that almost sounds like music. Abram walks into the fire as easily as walking into a garden. The flames part before him like curtains drawn by unseen hands. Where fire touches his clothing, it leaves no mark. Where it kisses his skin, it causes no burn. He stands in the heart of the furnace as comfortably as if standing in a meadow. His face glows with light that has nothing to do with the flames around him. The guards stumble backward. Their courage evaporates like water on hot stone. The priests stop their chanting. Their voices die in throats suddenly gone dry with terror. Even Nimrod rises from his throne. His face turns pale beneath his dark beard. His hands grip the arms of his seat until his knuckles show white. From within the furnace, Abram's voice rings out clear and strong. "You see now, Your Majesty, the difference between gods made by human hands and the God who made human hands. Your fire has no power over those who belong to him." Then something even more extraordinary happens. A figure appears beside Abram in the flames. Someone whose face shines with light, too bright for mortal eyes to bear directly. The presence fills the furnace with glory that makes the fire itself seem dim by comparison. Those who witness it will spend the rest of their lives trying to describe what they saw. They will always fail to capture the essence of that divine manifestation. The furnace door swings open on its own. Abram emerges without even the smell of smoke on his garments. The flames die down behind him, becoming ordinary fire once more. But everyone present knows they've witnessed something that transcends nature. Something that challenges every assumption about power and authority. Nimrod stares at the young man before his throne, no longer seeing a troublesome boy, recognizing instead a force that could topple kingdoms without raising a sword. The star that heralded Abram's birth now seems like a warning rather than mere coincidence. "Go," Nimrod says finally. His voice carries defeat he will never admit aloud. "Take your God and your faith and leave my kingdom. Never let me see your face again." Abram bows respectfully before turning to leave. His manner stays courteous, even in victory. "I go in peace, Your Majesty. May you one day discover that the God who delivered me from your fire longs to deliver you from the burden of trying to be God yourself." With that, he walks from the throne room. Behind him, he leaves a king who will never again feel quite as secure on his throne. But Abram's story is just beginning. The boy who survived the flames will grow into a man who hears an impossible call. A voice that will ask him to leave everything familiar and step into a future known only to heaven. And what happens next? It involves a journey that no one in their right mind would attempt, a promise that seems too good to be true, and a test that will require more faith than surviving fire ever did. If you're fascinated by these hidden stories, hit that like button. Share this with someone who loves biblical mysteries, and drop a comment with your thoughts. We want to hear what you're thinking as these ancient tales unfold. Because here's a question worth pondering. If Abram could trust God in the flames, what situation in your life might require that same kind of faith? What fire are you facing that only heaven can help you through? Stay with us. The journey is about to get even more incredible. Chapter 5. The impossible journey begins. The voice comes in the deep watches of the night. Abram, now a grown man with silver touching his beard, wakes with the gradual awareness of one who has been expecting this moment. The presence that fills his tent is both awesome and intimate, terrible and gentle, carrying with it the weight of eternity and the warmth of perfect love. Leave this place. 3 simple words that will change everything. Leave your country, your people, your father's household. Go to the land I will show you. Abram sits up slowly. His heart pounds. His mind races with questions. Leave? Leave everything? Go where? Why? But the voice continues, and the words that follow are worth more than all the gold in Ur. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you. I will make your name great. You will be a blessing. Through you, all the families of the earth will be blessed. Abram rises and steps outside into the starlit courtyard. He lifts his eyes toward the vast canopy of heaven. The same stars that announced his birth now witness this moment of calling. His wife Sarah stirs inside the tent. Her intuition senses the change even in sleep. She opens her eyes to find him kneeling beside their bed, his face illuminated by moonlight. "What is it?" she whispers, reaching for his trembling hand. God has spoken again. He calls us to leave Ur, to abandon everything we know, to follow him to a land we've never seen. He pauses, and his next words carry the weight of impossible promise. He says he'll make of us a great nation. Sarah sits up slowly. Her mind wrestles with practical realities. They're not young anymore. Their hair shows silver. Their hopes for children have long since been buried beneath the weight of passing years. Yet something in her husband's voice makes her heart leap with answering faith. When do we leave? 4 simple words that seal their destiny. The preparations begin at dawn. A lifetime of possessions suddenly looks like meaningless clutter. Abram sorts through his belongings with ruthless efficiency, keeping only what's essential, releasing everything else. Servants load camels with tents and provisions, water skins and cooking pots, the basic necessities for wilderness living. The flocks that constitute their wealth are gathered and counted. Hundreds of sheep and goats will accompany them into the unknown. Terah, Abram's aged father, approaches as the caravan takes shape. His face shows sorrow and pride in equal measure. I raised you to follow in my footsteps, to inherit my business, to give me grandchildren. Instead, you chase invisible gods and impossible promises. Abram embraces his father with gentle strength. Come with us, father. Leave the gods made by your hands and discover the God who made your hands. But Terah shakes his head. Tears stream down his weathered cheeks. I am too old to learn new ways, too set in my patterns. My roots have grown too deep to be transplanted. Go with my blessing, my son, but know that my heart breaks to watch you leave. The old man presses a small carved figure into Abram's palm, a traveling god meant to protect journeys. Then he turns away before his tears can shame him. Lot, Abram's nephew, appears with eager face and determined eyes. Uncle, let me come with you. You've been more than family to me. You've been my teacher in the ways of faith. The sight of his nephew's enthusiasm stirs something deep in Abram's heart, a warmth that feels like a foretaste of the children he and Sarah have never conceived. Come then. The road is long and the destination unknown, but we travel under heaven's protection. The caravan that finally departs stretches across the desert like a living river. Hundreds of people, thousands of animals, moving in stately procession toward horizons that shimmer with heat and possibility. Behind them, the great city of Ur gradually fades into the desert haze. Its towers and temples become mere shadows against the sky. Ahead lies wilderness, uncertainty, adventure, the slow unfolding of promises too large for mortal minds to fully grasp. The desert tests them from the first day. Heat presses down like a heavy hand. Vastness threatens to swallow their small caravan without a trace. Water becomes precious. Shade becomes luxury. Putting one foot in front of another becomes an act of faith renewed with each step. Yet Abram presses forward with unwavering determination, guided by an inner compass that points always toward the fulfillment of divine promise. Nights bring relief from the sun, but present their own challenges. Wild animals prowl the edges of their camps. Their eyes reflect the firelight. Bandits watch from hidden places, calculating the strength of guards against the value of wealth. Yet somehow protection always appears when danger threatens, as if invisible hands smooth their path through the wilderness. The first oasis appears like a miracle of green in the endless brown. Palm trees sway in the breeze. A spring bubbles up from depths that speak of divine provision. The caravan rests there for 3 days. People and animals drink deeply. They bathe away the dust of travel. They remember what it feels like to be cool and comfortable. It's there, beside the peaceful water, that Abram builds his first altar in the land of promise. The stones come together under his hands, as if they've been waiting centuries to fulfill this purpose. When fire descends from heaven to consume his sacrifice, every member of the caravan knows they're witnessing something beyond nature's ordinary course. Abram kneels beside the altar with tears streaming down his face, overwhelmed by the goodness of a God who led him safely through the desert to this place of rest. Sarah takes her husband's hand and squeezes gently, her own heart full of wonder at the path they've chosen. The road ahead remains uncertain. The promised land still hides beyond distant horizons. But they're no longer the same people who left Ur's gates. They're pilgrims now, marked by heaven, called to a destiny that will echo through ages yet to come. And their journey, it's only just beginning, because the God who called them from comfort into unknown territory has plans that will test their faith in ways they can't yet imagine. Make sure you've subscribed, because what comes next involves family drama that would make a modern soap opera look tame. Brothers at war, deception in the dark, and consequences that echo through generations. These hidden stories from the Book of Jasher reveal truths about human nature that are as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago. Stay with us, the best is yet to come. Chapter 6. When brothers become enemies. The smell of lentil stew fills the tent like a promise. Jacob stirs the pot slowly, red and thick and bubbling. His brother Esau has been hunting for days. Jacob knows he'll return hungry, desperate, vulnerable. This is the moment Jacob has been waiting for. The sound of heavy footsteps announces Esau's arrival. He stumbles into camp, his face drawn with exhaustion, his body shaking from exertion. The hunt was unsuccessful. His stomach is empty. His strength is nearly gone. "Brother," he gasps, "let me eat some of that stew. I'm exhausted." Jacob doesn't look up from stirring. His voice comes calm, calculated. "Sell me your birthright first." The words hang in the air like smoke from a sacrifice. Esau laughs, but there's no humor in it. Only desperation. "I'm about to die of hunger. What good is a birthright to me? Swear to me first." Esau swears the oath, without thinking, without considering, trading his future for a meal, trading his inheritance for temporary relief. Jacob serves the stew and bread. Esau eats with the urgency of a man who thinks only of the present moment. He doesn't know he's just changed the course of history. Neither brother fully understands what has happened. One thinks he's gained a meal. The other believes he's secured his destiny. They're both right, and both wrong. Years pass. Their father Isaac grows old. His eyes dim until shadows replace clear sight. He feels death approaching like evening after a long day. The time comes to pass on the great blessing, the promise given to Abraham and meant for the firstborn son. Isaac calls Esau to him, his voice gentle with fatherly love. "My son, I am old. I don't know the day of my death. Take your weapons and hunt game for me. Prepare the food I love. Bring it to me so I may give you my blessing before I die." Esau's heart swells with joy. Finally, the moment he's waited for all his life. But Rebekah listens from behind the tent wall. Her heart races with fear. She knows the prophecy spoken before her son's birth. The older will serve the younger. If Isaac blesses Esau, will God's plan be thwarted? She acts swiftly, calling Jacob to her side with urgent whispers. "Your father is about to bless Esau. Listen carefully to what I say." Her plan unfolds quickly. Jacob will bring food to his father. He'll cover his smooth skin with goat hair. He'll wear Esau's clothes. In his father's darkness, he'll receive the blessing meant for his brother. Jacob's heart pulls in two directions. My brother is hairy and I'm smooth. What if my father feels me? I'll bring a curse on myself rather than a blessing. But his mother's determination overcomes his doubts. Let any curse fall on me, just obey my voice. The deception unfolds with careful precision. Jacob dresses in Esau's clothes. The scent of fields and hunt clings to the fabric. Goat skins cover his hands and neck. Rebekah prepares food exactly as Isaac loves it. Everything is ready, except Jacob's heart, which beats like a drum against his ribs. He approaches his father's bedside, his voice carefully controlled. "My father." Isaac turns toward the sound. Confusion clouds his features. "Here I am. Who are you?" "My son." The question hangs between them like a bridge Jacob must cross. "I am Esau, your firstborn. I've done as you told me. Please sit up and eat my game so you may bless me." Isaac's suspicion stirs. "How did you find it so quickly, my son?" Jacob's answer comes too smoothly. "Because the Lord your God brought it to me." Something feels wrong to the old man. He can't grasp what troubles him. "Come near so I may feel you, my son, to know whether you are really Esau or not." Jacob's hands tremble as his father's fingers explore his skin. The goat hair convinces the touch, but Isaac's heart still wavers. The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are Esau's hands. Yet he proceeds with the blessing, and the words that flow from his lips will shape destiny for generations. "May God give you heaven's dew and earth's richness. Plenty of grain and new wine. May nations serve you and peoples bow down to you. Be lord over your brothers. May your mother's sons bow down to you." Jacob receives the words that will shape his future, but they taste bitter on his tongue. He has gained what he wanted through deception, and the victory feels hollow. As he leaves, Esau's footsteps echo outside the tent. The truth explodes like lightning in a clear sky. Esau prepares his father's favorite meal and brings it eagerly to the tent. "Let my father arise and eat his son's game so you may bless me." Isaac's confusion deepens into horror. "Who are you?" "I am your son, your firstborn, Esau." The old man trembles violently. "Who was it then that hunted game and brought it to me? I ate it all before you came and I blessed him. Yes, and he will be blessed." The words fall like stones into still water, sending ripples of realization through Esau's heart. "Bless me, even me also, father." Esau's cry tears through the tent. the sound of a man whose world has crumbled. He weeps with the sound of a wounded animal. Isaac's heart breaks for his favorite son, but the blessing cannot be recalled. Your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing. Esau's grief transforms into rage. Is he not rightly named Jacob? He has cheated me twice. He took my birthright. Now he's taken my blessing. His voice grows dangerous. Have you not reserved a blessing for me? Isaac offers what he can, but it's only scraps compared to what Jacob received. Hatred grows in Esau's heart like a poisonous plant. The days of mourning for my father are approaching. Then I will kill my brother Jacob. But here's what makes this story even more powerful. God's purposes advance even through human failure. What looks like the destruction of a family becomes the foundation for a nation. And the question we should all ask ourselves is this: how often do we try to force God's promises through our own schemes? How often does our impatience create problems that only divine grace can solve? If this story is making you think, hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to hear these ancient lessons. And comment below with your thoughts on faith, family, and the consequences of deception. Because what happens next? It involves dreams, betrayal, and a reunion that will bring tears to your eyes. Stay tuned. The journey continues. Chapter 7. Dreams in Chains. The colorful coat catches sunlight like a rainbow. Joseph wears it with quiet dignity. Each thread was woven by his father's loving hands, each hue chosen with care. But his brothers watch him wear it, and their hearts grow dark with envy. Why should the youngest among them receive such honor? Why should their father's love fall so unevenly? The Book of Jasher tells us Joseph's dreams begin when he turns 17. They come in the deep of night, vivid as waking visions, clear as prophecy. In the first dream, he and his brothers work in the field binding grain. His sheaf rises and stands upright. Theirs bow down around it like worshippers at an altar. He shares the dream at breakfast, his voice bright with wonder. Listen to this dream I had. We were binding sheaves when suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright. Your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it. The words fall into heavy silence. Do you intend to reign over us? Judah asks, his voice sharp with anger. Will you actually rule us? They hear in Joseph's innocent telling a claim to supremacy, a declaration of future dominance. The second dream comes soon after, even more troubling than the first. Joseph sees the sun, moon, and 11 stars bowing down to him in a sky blazing with supernatural light. This vision he shares with his father and brothers. Even Jacob's face shows concern. What is this dream? Shall your mother and I and your brothers bow down to you? Jacob rebukes his son gently, but the Book of Jasher tells us he keeps these words in his heart, pondering their meaning. The brothers' hatred deepens with each passing day. They see how their father sends Joseph to check on them. They hear the questions he asks, the reports he brings back. In their minds, he becomes not a loving brother, but a spy. Here comes this dreamer, they mutter when they see him approaching across the fields. The opportunity comes when Jacob sends Joseph to find his brothers near Dothan. They see him from far off, a small figure against the vast landscape, and their anger crystallizes into deadly purpose. Come now, let's kill him and throw him into a pit. We'll say a wild animal devoured him. Then we'll see what comes of his dreams. But Reuben pulls back from the edge of murder. Let's not take his life. Throw him into this pit. But don't lay a hand on him. He plans to rescue Joseph secretly and return him to their father. Joseph approaches with joy in his heart, unaware of the storm gathering around him. He calls out greetings, eager to share news from home. They rush upon him like wolves, their hands rough with accumulated rage. The beautiful coat tears under their grasping fingers. "Please, my brothers," Joseph cries, but they're beyond hearing please. Years of jealousy pour out in violence. They seize him and throw him into the empty pit. Its walls too steep for climbing, its depth too great for escape. He lands hard on the rocky bottom. His voice echoes in the darkness as he calls their names. They sit down to eat while their brothers' cries rise from the pit like smoke from a sacrifice. A caravan appears on the horizon. Merchants heading toward Egypt with spices and goods. Judah looks up from his meal. A different plan begins to form. What profit is it if we kill our brother? Come, let's sell him to these traders. 20 pieces of silver change hands. Joseph becomes property rather than family. The merchants pull him from the pit, his eyes wide with disbelief. "My brothers," he whispers, but chains are already being fastened around his wrists. The caravan moves on, carrying him toward a future none of them can imagine. They slaughter a goat and dip Joseph's coat in its blood. The beautiful colors now stained dark with deception. They return home with faces schooled in grief. "We found this. Please examine it to see if it's your son's robe." Jacob's hands tremble as he recognizes the coat he made with such care. "It is my son's robe. Some wild animal has devoured him. Joseph has surely been torn to pieces." Jacob's grief fills the tent like floodwaters, washing away everything in its path. "I will go down to the grave mourning for my son," he declares, and no comfort they offer can reach him in his sorrow. Meanwhile, Joseph travels toward Egypt in chains, but his dreams travel with him, seeds of destiny that will bloom in foreign soil. In Egypt, he's sold to Potiphar, captain of Pharaoh's guard, the household that becomes his world, and he transforms it through simple faithfulness. Everything Joseph touches prospers. Every project he oversees succeeds beyond expectation. His master watches with growing amazement. But prosperity brings temptation, wearing the face of beauty. Potiphar's wife notices the handsome young Hebrew. Day after day she watches him work. "Lie with me," she whispers when they're alone. Joseph's refusal comes swift and firm. "My master has entrusted everything to me. How could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" But her desire becomes obsession. Each day she renews her advances. Each day Joseph maintains his integrity, until the day she catches him by his garment. "Come to bed with me." Joseph tears away, leaving his cloak in her hands as he flees. Sometimes running is the greatest victory. Her screams bring servants running. The lie burns in the air like acid. "This Hebrew came to make sport of me. He left his cloak when I screamed." The prison gates close behind Joseph with a sound like thunder. From household manager to convicted criminal in a single day. Yet even here, divine favor follows him. The keeper soon commits all prisoners to Joseph's care. 2 fellow prisoners arrive with troubled faces. Pharaoh's butler and baker fall from royal favor. They wake one morning with visions that disturb their sleep. Joseph offers help with gentle words. "Do not interpretations belong to God? Please tell me your dreams." His interpretations prove true with frightening accuracy. The butler returns to his position. The baker meets his doom. Joseph watches the butler leave, hope bright in his chest. Surely now his deliverance will come. But the butler forgets Joseph as completely as if he had never existed. 2 years pass in the prison's darkness. 2 years of waiting, of hoping, of trusting that God's plan continues even in the depths. And here's the powerful truth that the Book of Jasher reveals. Sometimes God's greatest victories require journeys through the deepest valleys. Joseph's path from favored son to forgotten prisoner seems like disaster, but each step prepares him for purposes beyond his understanding. If you're going through a valley right now, remember Joseph's story. Remember that the pit and the prison were not the end. They were preparation for the palace. Hit that subscribe button if these stories are touching your heart. Because what happens next? It involves a dramatic reunion that will leave you in tears. And comment below. Have you ever felt forgotten like Joseph? How did you keep faith alive in the darkness? Stay with us. The best part is coming. Chapter 8. The mountain that changed everything. The wood is heavy on Isaac's shoulders. He climbs the rocky path behind his father Abraham. Their sandals scrape against stone. Their breath comes hard in the thin mountain air. Neither speaks of what waits at the summit. 3 days ago, God spoke to Abraham in the night. 3 days ago, everything changed. Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love. Go to the land of Moriah. Offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains I will show you. The Book of Jasher tells us Abraham's heart nearly stopped. This was Isaac, the miracle child born when Sarah was 90, the son through whom nations would be blessed, the living proof of God's promise. Yet Abraham rose before sunrise, split wood for the offering, saddled his donkey. No argument, no negotiation, just quiet obedience. Sarah still sleeps, knowing nothing of this journey's true purpose. Abraham told her only that he would take Isaac to study the ways of the Lord. Now they climb together, father and son, the wood and the fire, the knife hidden in Abraham's robe. The silence between them grows heavy until Isaac speaks. Father? Yes, my son? I see the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? Abraham's voice catches, but his faith speaks louder than his fear. God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son. The Book of Jasher reveals that Isaac is not a child in this moment. He's 37 years old, strong enough to resist, old enough to run. But something in his father's face tells him everything. And Isaac makes a choice that echoes through eternity. They reach the chosen spot as the sun climbs higher. Abraham's hands shake as he builds the altar. Stone upon stone, each piece placed with the care of one who knows this moment will echo through eternity. Isaac watches, understanding dawning slowly in his eyes. When the altar stands complete, his father turns to him with tears streaming down his weathered face. My son, the Lord has commanded that you be offered as a sacrifice. Isaac could run, he could fight, he could call for help. Instead, he bows his head. Father, do all that the Lord has spoken. I am ready. The Book of Jasher tells us Isaac's willing heart made him as great as his father in this moment. Abraham's hands tremble as he binds Isaac's arms and legs, not tightly, for he cannot bear to cause pain, but securely as the law requires. Isaac lies still on the wood, his eyes closed, his lips moving in silent prayer. The morning sun bathes the mountaintop in golden light, as if heaven itself watches this supreme test of faith. The knife rises in Abraham's hand. It catches the sunlight, flashing like a star. His arm trembles with the weight of this impossible command. Below, Isaac waits with the patience of perfect trust. Around them, the world holds its breath. Even the wind stops blowing across the mountain peaks. Then the angel's voice splits the silence like thunder. "Abraham, Abraham, here I am. Do not lay your hand on the boy or do anything to him. For now I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me." The knife falls from Abraham's hand, clattering against the stones. Father and son weep together as the ropes fall away. Behind them, caught in a thicket by its horns, stands a ram. God's provision appearing at the exact moment of need. Abraham names the place, "The Lord will provide," and the Book of Jasher tells us this name echoes still in the hills of Moriah. As they descend the mountain, Isaac walks differently. The boy who climbed up has become a man of faith on the way down. This mountain will become sacred ground. Generations later, Solomon will build his temple here. The altar where Isaac lay willing will become the place where thousands of sacrifices rise to heaven. What began as a test of one man's faith becomes the foundation for a nation's worship. But here's the deeper truth that the Book of Jasher reveals. This story isn't just about Abraham's faith or Isaac's willingness. It's about ultimate trust leading to ultimate provision. It whispers that God's tests are also God's gifts. That the hardest paths often lead to the greatest revelations. That when we're willing to give God everything, we discover He's been preparing everything we need. Think about that as you drift towards sleep tonight. What is God asking you to place on the altar? What do you need to trust Him with, even when you can't see His provision? If this story moved you, hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to be reminded that God provides. And drop a comment telling us what this story means to you. Because next time, we're diving into one of the most dramatic events in human history. The night death passed over. The moment slavery ended. The exodus that changed everything. You won't want to miss it. Make sure you're subscribed. Sleep well, knowing that the God who provided for Abraham and Isaac is the same God who sees you right now, who knows your struggles, who's preparing provision you can't yet see. Sweet dreams, friends. The journey continues soon. Chapter 9. Blood on the doorposts. The midnight hour approaches Egypt like a shadow with wings. Throughout the land, Hebrew families gather behind doors marked with lamb's blood. Their hearts pound with a mixture of fear and faith. The Book of Jasher tells us they eat their final meal in Egypt with sandals on their feet and staffs in their hands, ready to flee the only home most have ever known. 9 plagues have already struck Egypt. Water turned to blood, frogs covering every surface, gnats and flies swarming through the air, livestock dying in the fields, boils covering human flesh, hail mixed with fire destroying crops, locusts devouring what the hail spared, darkness so thick it could be felt. Each plague demonstrated the powerlessness of Egypt's gods, the futility of Pharaoh's resistance, the approaching triumph of Israel's God. But Pharaoh's heart remained hard. His pride proved stronger than wisdom, his stubbornness more powerful than reason. Now comes the final plague, the one that will break the king's will while demonstrating that God takes no pleasure in destruction. Moses delivered the warning with solemn gravity. Every firstborn son in Egypt will die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh, who sits on the throne, to the firstborn of the slave at her mill. There will be loud wailing throughout Egypt, worse than there has ever been or ever will be again. But even in announcing judgment, Moses provided escape. Blood on doorposts would mark Hebrew homes for divine protection. Death would pass over those who trusted God's provision, while striking those who rejected his mercy. Tonight, that prophecy becomes reality. Hebrew mothers hold their children close. Hebrew fathers stand watch at the door. The lamb has been sacrificed, its blood painted on the doorframe, its flesh roasted and eaten in haste. Outside, death moves through Egypt's streets with silent precision. From Pharaoh's palace to the humblest servant's hut, the angel of destruction claims its tribute. Firstborn sons who fell asleep expecting another ordinary dawn awaken instead in eternity. The cry that rises from Egyptian homes tears the night like fabric, a wailing that makes the earth itself seem to mourn. Pharaoh's own son lies still in the royal chambers. The heir to Egypt's throne, now beyond earthly crowns, the king who declared himself divine, discovers his powerlessness against the god of slaves. His grief explodes into desperate surrender. He summons Moses and Aaron in the darkness, his voice breaking with emotion too raw for royal composure. Up, leave my people, you and the Israelites. Go, worship the Lord as you have requested. Take your flocks and herds and go, and also bless me. The man who once claimed not to know Israel's God now begs for blessing from the servants he tried to destroy. The Egyptians press gifts upon their departing Hebrew neighbors, hands shaking from loss and fear, gold and silver, clothing and precious stones. They pour into Hebrew bags like water from broken dams. The plundered wealth of 4 centuries of bondage changes hands in a single night. 600,000 Hebrew men march out of Egypt with their families, a multitude so vast it stretches beyond sight. They carry with them Joseph's bones, honoring the promise made centuries before. God leads them not by the shorter coastal road, but through the wilderness toward the Red Sea. The pillar of cloud by day and fire by night guides their steps, visible proof of divine presence among them. Behind them, Pharaoh's heart hardens once more. What have we done? We have let the Israelites go and lost their services. Pride proves stronger than wisdom, even after devastating loss. The Egyptian army mobilizes with swift efficiency. 600 select chariots lead the charge. Pharaoh himself commands the pursuit. Israel camps beside the Red Sea, apparently trapped between water and approaching army. The sea stretches before them like an impassable barrier. Behind them, dust clouds announce Pharaoh's approach. Terror grips the Hebrew multitude. Was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us to die in the desert? They cry to Moses. Moses stands between his people's panic and Pharaoh's pursuit. His voice carries calm certainty. Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. God's instruction comes with dramatic simplicity. Raise your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea to divide the water. The man who once protested his inadequacy now wields power that commands creation itself. Moses stretches his hand over the sea. Waters that have flowed together since creation separate like curtains drawn by invisible hands. The seabed appears dry as desert ground. Walls of water stand firm on either side. Physics bows to divine command as the impossible becomes the pathway of liberation. The Hebrews march through with trembling hearts and wondering eyes. Their feet find solid ground where waves should have swallowed them. Children who hours before cried in terror now laugh at fish swimming in the crystal walls beside them. Pharaoh's army follows with the confidence of those who mistake divine patience for divine weakness. But the Lord fights against Egypt with confusion and terror. Chariot wheels stick in mud. Horses rear and refuse to advance. "Let us get away from the Israelites," the soldiers shout. "The Lord is fighting for them against Egypt." Recognition comes too late for escape. Moses stretches his hand over the sea once more. The walls of water collapse with thunderous roar. The sea returns to its place, sweeping away the flower of Egypt's military might. Israel watches from the far shore as bodies wash up on the beach, evidence of deliverance too complete for doubt. Miriam takes up her tambourine and leads the women in song. "Sing to the Lord, for he is highly exalted. Both horse and driver he has hurled into the sea." And here's the powerful truth the Book of Jasher reveals. Some deliverances require divine intervention beyond human capability. No amount of planning could have freed 2 million slaves from the world's greatest empire. No human strategy could have parted the Red Sea. Some victories belong entirely to God. As you rest tonight, think about this. What Red Sea are you facing? What impossible situation needs divine intervention? What do you need to trust God to handle because you simply can't do it yourself? If this story stirred your soul, hit that subscribe button. Share this with someone who needs to remember that God still delivers his people. Comment below with what's speaking to your heart. Because our final chapter, it brings everything full circle. The legacy of these ancient stories, the questions they raise, the truths they reveal. You've come this far. Don't miss the conclusion. Sweet dreams, friends. And remember, the same God who parted the Red Sea can handle whatever you're facing. Chapter 10. Waters that stood like walls. The waves freeze in mid-motion like sculptures carved from liquid crystal. On either side of the dry path, water towers higher than the tallest building you've ever seen. Fish swim past, their scales catching light that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. A Hebrew mother clutches her baby close as she walks on ground that should be ocean floor. An elderly man who thought he'd die in bondage now crosses toward freedom on the bed of the sea. This is the moment generations will remember. The miracle that defines a nation. The deliverance that proves beyond doubt that Israel's God reigns supreme. The Book of Jasher tells us that as the last Hebrew family reaches the far shore, Pharaoh's army enters the path through the sea. Chariots thunder down the same corridor their prey just walked. Horses' hooves strike ground that should be submerged beneath fathoms. But something changes as Egypt's finest warriors penetrate deeper into the miraculous passage. The chariot wheels that spun so smoothly on dry land suddenly stick. Axles break. Horses stumble and refuse to advance. Fear replaces confidence in the soldiers' eyes. "The Lord is fighting for them against us," they shout. "Retreat! Get out of here!" But it's too late. Moses stretches his hand over the sea one final time. The walls of water that stood at attention like disciplined soldiers suddenly collapse inward. The roar is deafening, the force unstoppable, the justice complete. The sea returns to its place, swallowing chariots and warriors as if they had never existed. The army that pursued in pride drowns in the consequences of defying heaven's purposes. From the shore, Israel watches their enemies disappear beneath the waves. The threat that chased them from Egypt now lies silenced beneath the sea. Freedom isn't just promised anymore. It's real, tangible, undeniable. Miriam, Moses' sister, lifts her tambourine high. Her voice rises in a song that will echo through centuries. Sing to the Lord, for he is highly exalted. Both horse and driver he has hurled into the sea. The women join her, dancing on the shore where death feared to tread. The men lift their voices in praise that comes from souls too full for mere words. This is the Exodus. This is the birth of a nation. This is the moment when slaves become a people chosen by God Himself. The Book of Jasher reveals something profound in these moments of celebration. Yes, Egypt is defeated. Yes, freedom is won. Yes, the impossible has become reality. But the journey is just beginning. Ahead lies wilderness. Ahead lies testing. Ahead lies Mount Sinai, where God will speak in thunder and lightning. Ahead lies 40 years of wandering and a promised land that won't come easily. The Red Sea isn't the destination, it's the doorway. And isn't that true of so many divine deliverances? The miracle that sets us free is rarely the end of the story. It's usually the beginning of a new chapter that requires just as much faith as the deliverance did. Think about the Hebrews standing on that shore. Behind them, the sea and their enemy. Before them, an unknown future in an unfamiliar desert. The God who parted the waters will now need to provide bread in a place where nothing grows, water in a wasteland, direction in terrain without roads or signposts. The same people celebrating today will complain tomorrow. The same crowd singing now will grumble about the menu next week. Because deliverance and maturity are two different things. God can set you free in a moment, but developing the character to live in freedom, that takes a journey. The Book of Jasher's legacy lives in these truths it reveals. It shows us that biblical characters weren't superhuman saints. They were regular people facing extraordinary circumstances. Abraham doubted even as he obeyed. Isaac struggled with favoritism in his family. Jacob deceived his way into blessings that should have come through patience. Joseph endured years of suffering before seeing his dreams fulfilled. Moses stammered and resisted his calling. The Hebrews celebrated deliverance, then complained about discomfort. These stories show us something vital. God doesn't wait for perfect people to accomplish His purposes. He works through flawed humans who are willing to trust Him despite their fears. And that should give every single one of us hope. You don't have to have it all together to be used by God. You don't have to understand everything to take the next step of faith. You don't have to feel qualified to respond to His calling. You just have to be willing, available, trusting that the same God who called you will equip you, that the same God who delivers will provide, that the same God who starts good work will be faithful to complete it. The Book of Jasher, whether ancient or medieval, whether historically accurate in every detail or inspired retelling of sacred traditions, accomplishes something remarkable. It makes the Bible come alive in new ways. It fills gaps that spark imagination. It reveals human dimensions of divine stories. It reminds us that faith is messy and beautiful, that God's plans unfold through human choices, both wise and foolish, that redemption is always possible, even when we've made terrible mistakes. As you drift towards sleep tonight, consider the journey we've taken together through these hidden stories. We've seen a baby born under a miraculous star, protected from a tyrant's rage. We've watched a boy question the gods his father made and survive fire that should have consumed him. We've traveled with Abraham as he left everything familiar to follow a voice only he could hear. We've wrestled with Jacob's deception and Joseph's dreams. We've stood on Mount Moriah as father and son demonstrated faith beyond comprehension. We've watched plagues humble the proud and deliverance come through blood on doorposts. We've walked on the floor of the sea between walls of water, witnessing the miracle that defined a nation. These stories aren't just ancient history, they're mirrors reflecting timeless truths about God and humanity, about faith and failure, about judgment and mercy, about purposes that unfold across generations. The legacy of the Book of Jasher lives on in every reader who encounters its pages and finds something that speaks to their soul. Whether you accept it as authentic scripture or appreciate it as valuable tradition, it offers gifts worth receiving. It reminds us that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is the same God who sees you right now, who knows your name, who has plans for your life that are bigger than you can imagine. It whispers that the same power that parted the Red Sea can handle whatever you're facing, that the same wisdom that guided Joseph through prison to palace can direct your steps through difficulty to destiny. If these stories have touched your heart over these past hours, we hope you'll share them with others who need to hear these ancient truths. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future deep dives into biblical mysteries. Comment below and tell us which story impacted you most. Which character's journey resonated with your own experience? What truth will you carry with you from these hidden tales? And as you close your eyes tonight, rest in this: the God who walked with Abraham through impossible journeys, who gave Joseph dreams that sustained him through years of suffering, who called Moses from a burning bush and opened seas before his people. That same God walks with you. Your story matters. Your journey counts. Your faith, however small it feels, is seen and valued by the one who measures hearts rather than appearances. Sleep well, knowing you're part of a story that stretches back thousands of years and forward into eternity. A story of divine love pursuing flawed humans, of redemption offered freely to those who will receive it, of purposes that transcend our understanding, but never our participation. The Book of Jasher's greatest legacy might be this: it reminds us that we're all part of something larger than ourselves, that our choices echo into futures we can't see, that faith matters, even when tested by fire or flood, or seemingly impossible circumstances. These hidden stories have been waiting for you to discover them. Now they're part of your story too. Sweet dreams, friends. And may your own journey of faith be marked by the same kind of trust that characterized Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, and Moses. The God who was faithful to them will be faithful to you. Good night.